Babumbanga.
Good afternoon, Speaker.
Good afternoon. Are we okay there?
Yes, ma'am, you are okay, 100%.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable members, good afternoon. I suggest we start.
Recording in progress.
Our meeting. We have welcome to all of you, honorable members. We have received one apology so far from Honorable Dr. G.W. Korenhoff. Are there any other apologies, honorable members? Any other apologies? Dr. Lutri? Honorable Lutri? Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. The apology of the Honorable Kwagube.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Gert.
Speaker,
yes.
I managed to join the meeting, so cancel my apology. I'm with you in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So we have one apology, really, that of Honorable Kwagube. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Kaso?
My apologies. Mr. Singh had also apologized, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Singh. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Then we proceed to consider the items on the agenda, honorable members. Will you please just look at the agenda? Honorable members, are we happy with the agenda? Can somebody move for the adoption of the agenda? Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I hereby move for the adoption of this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Honorable Tseke, are you seconding?
Thank you, Speaker, and good day to everyone. I second for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. So, Honorable Members, at the agenda having been adopted, we then proceed to deal with consideration of the minutes of the meeting of the 1st of February. Minutes of the meeting of the 1st of February, Honorable Members. Okay. Honorable Hope Mangwane Papo, are you moving for the adoption of the minutes? Honorable Hope, you have your hand up. Oh, okay. Honorable Frolic.
Good afternoon, Speaker, and good afternoon to the honorable members. I move for the adoption of the minutes, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frolic. Any seconders? Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I second the mover for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, with the minutes having been approved and adopted, shall we then proceed to consider matters arising out of the minutes? Matters arising out of the minutes, the first one being the appointment of the panel to conduct a preliminary inquiry to assess a motion on the removal of a commissioner in the Commission on Gender Equality. I will now invite Mr. Kaso to give us a briefing and take us through all the matters related to that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good afternoon, honorable members. Members will remember that there was a request for names to be submitted of people to serve on this panel. It's a Section 194 process, honorable members. The names were submitted, and Speaker has since made a determination on the people to serve on the panel. But we're in the process of engaging the people concerned so that there may be agreement on technicalities. So once there is that finality, the announcement will be made by Madam Speaker. But the intention is that by March, this panel must begin its work, and we see how far it goes. Hopefully, it could complete its task before the election, but the intention is to support the panel as much as is possible so that it is able to do its work unhindered. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, I hope that provides clarity on the matter related to the panel to conduct this inquiry. Are we happy with that? Okay, so we then proceed. Honorable members, are there any other matters arising out of the minutes which you seek clarity on? Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on page 2 on the joint workshop session, I must appreciate the good workshop that we had and appreciate the role that the presiding officers has played. We agreed in that workshop that in the next 2-3 days, Mrs. Harper and the team must send a calculated draft gratuity to all members who qualify for that, so that when members are doing planning, they plan knowing very well what is there, what is not there. Linked to the same was the issue of the beneficiary forms in terms of the funeral cover or benefits, where we said as chief whips, we speak to our members, but we request that we be furnished with the list of those who have submitted, so that we can be able to follow up on those who have not submitted. We have not received both. Then I just want to list these matters, Honorable Speaker. On page 3, on a report from the committee section, I want to suggest that when we get the report from the committee section, will they also indicate how far are we in terms of the Commission for Gender Equality in terms of appointment of the commissioners? Is there any time frame for that one, as well as the DPP, the Deputy Public Protector? I'm raising that, Honorable Speaker, because already we're counting less than 3 months that we are supposed to discharge our work. But also I'll come back when we talk about the bills, to say which bills do we really want to prioritize, in the light that there's a date, but also there's a cycle in the NSOP that we must adhere to. That point was raised by Honorable Kwahube, I think, in our previous meeting, to say for how long we'll be sending the bills that to the NSOP.
Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Honorable Machodina, when we reach the part where we deal with the bills, you will then take us through those issues. Shall we just focus on matters arising out of the minutes for now, which are not related to the items which are on the agenda for today? None, honorable members, then we proceed. On that note, I now recognize Ms. Gaba from the committee section. to
Honorable
present.
Speaker, are you saying, Honorable Speaker, are you saying the matter on the workshop and the what I've raised is not related to the matters arising?
No. I didn't say that. The matter on the workshop, you were very correct. Thank you very much. I was talking about the bills, the legislation, because we have an item here which is going to be dealing with the bills, as you know. That's what I was confining myself to. Is that okay, Chief Whip? I hope I'm understood. Thank you.
I don't think it is okay, Honorable Speaker, when I'm raising the matter on that, to say if Mrs. Harper is able to respond, she can respond. If there is no response on that matter of the workshop and information that was supposed to have been shared, that I'm saying it has not been shared. So if I'm out of order, I want to apologize.
You are not out of order, Honorable Machodina. You raised the first matter related to the workshop and how Ms. Harper should follow up on matters related to gratuity. Then you proceeded to deal with issues of the legislation, and that is what I am referring to. On the matter of the gratuity and matters related to Ms. Harper, you are very correct. I'm trying to stop you that you don't discuss matters relevant to legislation because we have an item on that. That is all. Thank you, Honorable Member. If Mr. Kaso, I see your hand up. Would you like to respond on behalf of Ms. Harper?
Ma'am, yes, I wanted to indicate that I will follow up with Ms. Harper so that the information is provided to the members as promised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mamuroto, would you like to comment on the matter?
No, Speaker, let's proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mamuroto. We then proceed, honorable members, to deal with the report which will be presented by Ms. Kiba on the committee section.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good day to you and the honorable members and all my colleagues. I present the report on legislation before committees. Can I see the report, please? Thank you very much. The report, Madam Speaker, has not changed much since we last reported, but I would like to limit my presentation today on all the bills that are likely to be finalized by committees, as well as new legislation that has been referred to the committee. And lastly, Madam Speaker, also on the two items that were raised by the Chief Whip just now on the slides. I would like to start my presentation with slide number 3. Slide number 3, please. On slide number 3, we have 23 bills currently before NA committees, and out of the 23 bills, 14 are likely to be finalized by March 2024, and this is according to the committee's latest updated reports. In this same report, the status of each bill is indicated. Of the 14 bills that are likely to be finalized, 7 of them are Section 75 and 7 are Section 76. The next slide gives an indication of the name of all these bills. Section 75 on slide number 4, and all the aim to finish dates by the committees, as well as slide 5. Slide 5 and slide 6 give a list of all the bills, Section 76 bills that are likely to be finalized by 28th of March. Then we can move to slide number 7. On this slide is just information for the meeting of the two bills, which is the second adjustments appropriation bill, as well as the gold and foreign exchange contingency reserve account deferral amendment bill. Both bills were referred to the Standing Committee on Appropriations yesterday. Then we can move to slide number 25 on statutory appointments. On this slide, slide number 25, please. The appointment on CGE commissioners, the report of the committee still remains the same, and this committee intends to finalize their work on the appointment of commissioners by the 15th of March. The next slide, 26. The appointment of the Deputy Public Protector, a matter that is before Peace and Justice. This committee's program has not changed as well, and they intend to finalize the matter by the 20th of March. Then we have, lastly, slide number 28. On this slide, previously we reported that the committee will finish its work. Slide number 29, please. The committee intended to finalize its work on the 1st of March, which is a deadline for them to report. However, we've been informed that they will request an extension of 2 weeks, and at least they've indicated they could finalize their work by the 22nd of March. And this concludes the report of the committee section, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kiba. We then receive a report from Dr. T. Mbata. Dr. Mbata, and then we'll take a discussion. Yes.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Honorable Speaker, I will use this report to give the committee an overview of the legislation that is currently before the NA committees and legislation that is on the order paper. There are 8 bills on the order paper in Section A, 6 of which are already scheduled for consideration by the House. The NSOP amended the Performance Protection Amendment Bill and the Copyright Amendment Bill, and both bills were sent back to the NA for consideration. Should they pass, both bills will be resent to the President for assent. And the next one is the National Road Traffic Amendment Bill and the Economic Regulation of Transport Bill. These bills were also amended by the Council and returned to the Assembly for concurrence. Following the National Assembly's adoption of these bills, Honorable Speaker, they will also be sent to the President for assent. When we go down, we have the Public Administration Management Amendment Bill, Public Service Amendment Bill, and the Statistics Amendment Bill. The bills will be sent to the Council for concurrence after consideration by the House. In Section B, after the fiscal framework is adopted, the recently introduced Division of Revenue, which is B4 of 2024, and the Appropriation Bill, which is B5 of 2024, will be referred to the Appropriations Committee. And lastly, in Section C, when we go down to Section C, we have number 24 and 25, which Ms. Kiba has already reported on, the 2 proposed Section 77 bills that were also recently introduced by the Minister of Finance. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That's all from the Bill's Office.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mbata. Honorable members, we have 2 reports on the table, a report from the committee section and a report from the Bill's Office. May I now invite, I see 2 hands. Maybe I should start with you, Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party. You wanted to comment on the bills.
No, Speaker, I'm covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Boroto.
No, thank you, Speaker, and good day, honorable members. Speaker, mine is just on the Section 76 bills that are still with the National Assembly that have got to go to the NCOP, and we know that they have a 6-week cycle. How is that going to be dealt with, as it has an impact on the constituency period that we'll be having from the 29th of March? If maybe when Mr. Kaso comes in, can clarify that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maboroto. Honorable Dr. Mulder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. I just want to say and give a heads up to the Programming Committee, which I think should be fair. and it deals with slide number 4 of the committee section, but basically it deals with a bill, the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill, that has been identified as a priority, and the aim is to finish with that on the 1st of March. I just want to give a heads up that I foresee problems there, and that if the bill remains in its current form, that it will be challenged in court. And the problem is that it will most likely then have an effect on the electoral date for the election. I just think the committee should take note of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mulder. Honorable Frolik?
No, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just to follow up where the Honorable Mulder left it, is that we're in discussions with the chairperson of that committee. We're keeping a very close eye on that piece of legislation. And as soon as I have official feedback from the chairperson, we will revert back to the programming committee if there are any changes. I must also add, Speaker, that we have asked the committees, now that the election date is known, to further refine their programs in line with the election date and with the current program as it is, but also to ensure that they do not take shortcuts, that they comply with all the rules of the National Assembly, so that the pieces of legislation that is passed meets the constitutional litmus test. It's very, very important that this is properly done. And as far as the Section 76 legislation is concerned, Mr. Castle will elaborate further because that involves the program of the NCOP. And then lastly, Honorable Speaker, I must also add that there has been 1 or 2 requests that I've received around the Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee doesn't report to me, Honorable Speaker. So any information around that committee, that committee reports actually directly to the House on the works that in front of them, so I cannot assist in that regard. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frolik. That was the discussion on those matters. Is there any other matter you'd like to raise in relation to the committee section report and the Bills Office report? I see no hands. Honorable members, we then proceed, and I invite now Mr. Castle to give us a report on the parliamentary program and the election date.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will request my colleagues to place the presentation on the screen. Honorable members, be aware that the date for the elections has been announced, but this date must still be proclaimed officially in the Gazette in terms of the Constitution. Section 49. Next slide. I would now like to deal with the issue that is obviously being considered by honorable members. The issue of dissolution or expiry of the term. Now, the Constitution in Section 49 indicates the term of the NA as 5 years, and it also gives 2 scenarios. The one scenario is dissolution in terms of Section 50, and the other is expiry of the term. Now, next slide. And that, of course, that the parliament can be dissolved after a period of 3 years, and if there's a motion to that effect. Next slide. I would like to indicate to honorable members that the term of this parliament expires midnight of 21 May 2024. In that respect, the elections will be after the expiry of the term. And for that reason, there is no need to dissolve the NA. Had the elections been set for before the 21st of May, then the NA would need to dissolve. But another point that we should make is that the NA remains competent to function from the time it is dissolved or its term expires until the day before the first day of polling for the next assembly. So from 21 May to 28th May midnight, the NA is competent to function. In simple terms, the NA can meet to transact its business. The next slide. Here we just give a sense of what has happened before so that members are just reminded that we have not always dissolved. In 2004, we dissolved. In 2009, we didn't because the elections were after the expiry of the term. 2014, we didn't dissolve for the same reason. Of course, in 2019, we did dissolve because at that point we sought clarity also in terms of the term of the NA, because there were three scenarios. One, the election date. Two, the date of designation of members. And three, the date of the first sitting of the House. The dominant legal view was that the date of the first sitting marks the commencement of the term. Hence, our term ends on the 21st of May, because the first sitting was on the 22nd of May in 2019. Next slide, please. Now, I would just like to talk about what happens after 29 May. In terms of the law, the Electoral Act, the elections must be declared within 7 days after the election. And of course, between that and the first sitting, there must be designation of members. In other words, placing members attaching members to seats of the National Assembly. There is usually an occasion or a ceremony that involves the Electoral Commission and the Office of the Chief Justice and Parliament, where the lists are forwarded or handed over Parliament. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide, next slide, please. Okay, and then the next slide deals with by when can the first sitting happen. The Constitution stipulates that within 14 days after the results of the elections have been declared, the Chief Justice must convene that sitting. What happens at that sitting? The first thing that happens is a swearing in of members, and then the election of the presiding officers, the Speaker, and the Deputy Speaker. Once you have your members, you have your office bearers, then your House is properly constituted. It can then elect the President. So the election of the President happens after these other office bearers have been elected and after all the members have been sworn in. Next slide. No, there's a slide that I think. All right, it's coming. No, go quiet. Yes. Then after the first sitting, let's go back to the slide before this one, please, colleagues. After the first sitting, then the inauguration would happen, and of course, after the inauguration, at a given point, there will be what we have always referred to as the second SONA. But in terms of the joint rules, the new joint rules, that is referred to the opening of Parliament after an election. Okay, the next slide. Here, honorable members, we just give a sense of what has obtained previously in terms of the time frames. So in 2014, the elections were on the 7th of May. The declaration was 10th of May, 3 days after. Then the first sitting was 21 of May, and the inauguration 24th of May, and the opening of Parliament was second SONA 17th of June. 2019, 8 May, declaration 11 May, first sitting 22 May, inauguration 25 May, and the opening was the 20th of June. But in 2014, that 17th of June was a Tuesday, not the usual Thursday. But in 2019, it was on a Thursday. And the declaration was a Saturday, and of course the sitting was on a Wednesday. The next slide. The inauguration happens and members come back to Parliament. Some of the things that will then happen is the setting, and I won't spend much time on this, is the setting up of structures. The portfolio committees, because a cabinet at that point would have been determined, so the portfolios of government would be known. Setting up of structures and making other determinations, the number of whips, and of course, we will have now a new feature. We may have a new feature, which is independence. The next slide. Parliament must then deal with the issue of lapsed business. But the point that I would like to emphasize here, let's go to the next slide. That's where my emphasis is. The rules prescribe that at the end of a Parliament, the term of Parliament, all business before the House lapses. So the business that will not have been completed by the time we adjourn will lapse. That will include the budget. The budget will not have been passed by the time we adjourn in May. It's unlikely to have been passed. That was the case previously. So the budget will then be revived. The new administration hopefully will decide to, or maybe will decide to revive the budget. But the point that I would like to make is that the law says the budget must be passed within 4 months after the commencement of the financial year. So by end of July, the budget must be passed. The last 2 elections in 2014, it was 23rd of July, and in 2019, I think it was 25th of July when the budget was passed. So you then need to have mini plenaries to go through that process. But what ought to be passed before this adjournment is a fiscal framework. It is the division of revenue bill. That then takes me to the issue of the NCOP. I have checked with at the NCOP, and there is no finality yet in terms of how far into April the NCOP might sit. So that will be a process of political engagement between the two houses, so that things that emanate from the NA that are supposed to go to the NCOP could then be considered. And what that also implies, honorable members, is that matters before the NCOP in April could necessitate the consideration of the NA, in which case then the NA would need to make provision for it to consider such matters, especially if those are pertinent matters that require to be passed before the elections. Madam Speaker, I would like to stop at that point. I'm happy to take questions from honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tasso. Honorable members, that was the report from Mr. Tasso on the date of the elections and the program following that. Dr. Lutriat, honorable member.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to make sure I don't see this particular report in the documentation we received. If it wasn't included, will it be possible to circulate it to us, please?
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Korenhoff.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you to Mr. Kasu for this presentation. It's highly appreciated. If it's possible for Mr. Kasu to reply to the question, if not, we can discuss it later. But what is the situation with reference to the different provincial legislatures, the dissolvement and so forth? Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable member. Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party. Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let's appreciate and welcome the report from Mr. Tasso, which really gives clarity on dissolution or not dissolution, because we have different interpretation on that. Thank you very much for bringing that in this in this presentation. On the issue of the lapse of business of the term, did I hear you well, Mr. Traso, saying that the business of the term will lapse on the 28th of May, because whilst we might be out there on constituency work, we are still working as members of parliament. And after the elections, that is after the 29th, were you saying we can still do business before the convening of the 7th Parliament, so that if there's anything that is outstanding, can it still be done after the 29th when the elections are over? If so, for how many days that we can have that opportunity to do the work? Honorable Speaker, I want to further propose that whilst we are going to rise to do our work as expected as political parties, can I sponsor that at a particular time when we are supposed to come back and process or pass a particular legislation or appointment of statutory bodies, can we still maintain the issue of a hybrid session, so that we don't call everybody to come to Parliament, but we maintain the hybrid session in and out, because all parties will be out there to campaign? Can I sponsor that? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Machotina. Honorable Kwankwa.
Sorry, I almost said Chief Whip. Speaker, I want to second the proposal from the Chief Whip of the majority party. I think having a hybrid session will be the most viable option, considering that most MPs are going to, as soon as Parliament rises, are going to be on the road campaigning all over the country. It might not be possible for them to attend sittings of Parliament physically. So I concur with that sentiment. I want to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwankwa. Honorable members, I don't see there are no more hands. I will leave it to Mr. Klaso to respond to matters which have been raised.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To answer Dr. Lotwit, yes, the document will be circulated, and we apologize that we were not able to circulate beforehand. We wanted to finalize a few things. Then on the dissolution, our understanding, and of course, when I say our, I'm including our chief legal advisor, we've discussed this thing at length, is that there is no need to dissolve. There's no basis, in fact, to dissolve for the reasons that I've stated. And therefore, in our view, the provinces should be equally affected by that arrangement, because the provincial legislatures, I think they either sit the same day as the NA or the day after. So given that the elections is on the 29th of May, that ought to be the case. But we can't speak for the legislatures, for the provinces, but that is our understanding. Then on the issue of the lapsing of business, I would like to read, Honorable Speaker, Rule 351 for the benefit of all the members. All business before the assembly or any assembly committee on the last sitting day of a term of the assembly, on when the assembly is dissolved, lapse at the end of that day. So that is what happens. Last sitting day of a term. And then the issue of after the 29th. After the 29th, no, the House can only sit once it is constituted again. So 28th of May, members cease to be members, midnight. So between the 29th and the first sitting of the NA, there are no members of the NA, in a sense, because the swearing in will only happen at the first sitting of the NA. So the NA is not constituted yet. So at that first sitting, whenever it happens, then from the first sitting, once you have a house properly constituted, you can then start doing business. And of course, we know the formalities that members would go to inauguration first, but certainly at that point, the house, if there's a need to attend to business of the house can sit. I might just indicate that when we passed the budget in 2019 in July, and in 2014, that was the 7th sitting of the House on the 23rd of July, 7th sitting of the full plenary of the House. And of course, in between, we had mini plenaries. So once you come back from inauguration, the House can function and do whatever that it needs to do at that point. So as I say, by end of July, the House had sat 7 times already. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I must say that, ma'am, we will advise further on the issue of lapsing, but I've just read out the rule for now on the practicalities of this, what it means, and whether we need to keep any business live after the 21st of May, between 21st of May and the 28th of May. We'll have to advise on that after discussions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, that was the report from Mr. Kaso. And if there are any further matters which matters are not clear about, you can always contact the office just for us to provide further clarity if there's a need. That's done. We now have to consider the program of Parliament from the programming with Honorable Seke.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to all the colleagues who are connected in this platform. The committees are scheduled for the remainder of the week, which is today and tomorrow, and the next week, starting from next week. Consideration of the legislations as reflected on the program is scheduled for the 27th up until the 29th of February 2024, and on the 28th go up. Yes, on the 28th of February. No, let's start with the 20. Yeah, on the 28th of February, questions to the Peace and Stability Cluster are scheduled. The report on the filling of the vacancy in the Council of Independent Communication Authority of South Africa, which is ICASA, is scheduled for the 29th of February. And also, honorable members, kindly note that there will be no debate on the transport bills on the 29th of February. I think there are 2 bills. Because of due to technical amendments by the NCOP. The further on the 29th, the mini plenaries are scheduled, or I think it's on the 1st. The mini plenaries are scheduled for Friday, the 1st of March, in order to debate subjects for discussion. Topics from the EFF and the Good Party are still outstanding. The Powers and Privileges Committee, Honorable Speaker, will be meeting today to finalize the 2 reports. If adopted, the reports will also be scheduled for consideration in the next week. Further questions to the President is scheduled for the 19th of March 2024. And kindly note that questions to the Deputy President on the 28th of March are scheduled to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. in order to allow members to prepare for the forthcoming Easter period. If there's anything, Honourable Speaker, through your good self, Mr. Kaso will add. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable members, that was the report. I am just trying to find out check from the report. Honourable Papo, Honourable Hope, there's something you've just raised with me. Honourable Papo, are you still on the system? On the appointment of the Deputy Public Protector? Okay. Honourable Ms. Ntate Kaso.
Yes, thank you so much. I think on this same issue that ma'am you raised, I don't know, Honorable Pablo, what he wanted to raise, but there is a date that is indicated in the report of the committee section, which is 20th of March for finalization of that matter, just in case the issue related to finalization of the matter. And ma'am, I also would like to indicate that the Joint Rules Committee, or the amendment of the Joint Rules, it's still underway, the rest of the Joint Rules, and the subcommittee will be meeting shortly. There may be a report from the Joint Rules Committee on the rules. Also, that report will also include matters to do with petitions framework that the House will need to adopt. So those are the issues, ma'am, that I would like to raise. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. The matter which was being raised by Honorable Hope Papo was the matter of the appointment of the Deputy Public Protector, as you have raised already, which is that will require 201 votes on that. And he was just reminding us that we may need a physical sitting on that day. And what that means is that we need to identify a venue for that. Am I understood, Mr. Kaso? Honorable Machotina? Chief Whip Majority?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in appreciating that the question session for the president, for DP, will be on the 28th at 9 o'clock. I wanted to check if, let me sponsor instead of checking. Let me sponsor that the reality is that members will be traveling, especially the Christians. It is towards Good Friday. And normally, Good Friday starts on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday up to Sunday. My proposal is that can't we consider having that on a full virtual instead of a hybrid, so as to allow members to be able to travel on time and to connect wherever they are, because those who come for hybrid, the flights are scarce on those days. Can't we consider to have it on a full virtual, starting at that 9 o'clock, but be on a full virtual? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Majotina. Honorable members, this is a matter you may want to consider seriously. Indeed, the 28th of March is a Thursday, and that will be on the eve of a Good Friday. Are there any comments on the matter? I think it's a good proposal, honorable members. Honorable Buroto, I see your hand.
Thank you, Speaker. I really would like to second that we have it on full virtual on the 28th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maburoto. Any further hands, honorable members? None. None. It seems to me, on that note from Maburoto, that we then have come to the end of this item on the agenda. Are there any announcements, Mr. Kaso?
I see Honorable Buroto, ma'am, has her hand up.
Honorable Buroto, I'm sorry, I missed your hand.
No, thank you, Speaker. It's just an announcement that as we know that there is this issue of members having to move from because yesterday we did not have the Chief Whips Forum. I just want to inform all the Chief Whips so that they inform their members that we are working according to the dates on a guide that will go to members concerning the movements from the houses that they now occupy. And that will be given to them as we will be meeting on the 5th of March, given the dates of the voting and everything. For now, members are still in their houses until the last day, and further to that, they will get it on the guides as to if you are not coming back, when are you expected to be out of the houses and all that. We will give a full report, I think, by the 15th of March. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baboroto. Honorable members, those were the announcements. Are there any other? None. Thank you, honorable members. On that note, we have come to the end of our meeting. The meeting is adjourned. You'll be informed as to when next we'll have a programming committee meeting. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Speaker.
Recording stopped.